Good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News. Hope that everyone is having a lovely day. First of all, before I begin, I just want to say I am home from my trip where I had my car fixed, and the amazing individual who was able to get it done in a record amount of time is my good friend and brother in Christ, God's guy, right here on the screen. He even made a video about it. It's only got 31 views so far, but I'm surprised that more people haven't been searching for how to fix a transmission on a 2012 Subaru Outback. Maybe that's a bit of a joke, but thank you very much, God's guy, for getting it done, my friend. The car is essentially a brand new car at this point. There was nothing else that was wrong with it, just needed some work in the transmission, and nobody else was willing to do it. So luckily, I've been blessed to be put in the position where I could meet this amazing human being. I am so glad that he and Gina were just very, very welcoming and helped us out, helped us get an amazing place to stay up in the mountains. It was just an incredible time. So thank you so much. I do appreciate that, you guys. We are going to get into a bunch of news here, but we'll be right back after a quick word from my sponsor. Every day, we see warning signs that this country is inching closer and closer to, dare I say it, civil war. Violent protests by radical leftists, armed attacks on ICE facilities, police officers heckled and pelted while executing arrests, even elected members of Congress crashing political events, and the media justifies or ignores it. Unless we change course, the result is inevitable. And though civil war is far from guaranteed, we are in a cycle of violent weather that is unmistakable. Earthquakes, hurricanes, and more. Almost every American is at risk in some form. And that's why I prepare with my Patriot supply. They've revolutionized preparedness with an industry-leading line of food storage, water filtration, and other products that you will need at some point. And right now, you can save 50% on a 2-week emergency food kit. These 2-week food kits include breakfasts, lunches, and dinners, and they last up to 25 years in storage. Don't ignore the writing on the wall. Give yourself peace of mind and save 50% off at my special website, preparewithredpill78.com. That's preparewithredpill78.com. All right, I wanted to open the show today by displaying a picture. Now, this is a callback to my live stream with Hugo Fugan, my 2 live streams with Hugo Fugan and the Fuddy hoax from a couple weeks ago. On the left, we have a picture of Stanley Ann Dunham Soetoro. That would be Barry Obama's mother. Now, I want you to take a look at her facial features. The kind of, small inset eyes, this really noticeable nose right here, the way that her mouth is formed, this very, very pronounced chin, and her cheekbones. Now, I want you to take a look at this picture right here. This is Loretta Fuddy. If I wasn't mistaken, I would think that this is just an older version of Stanley Ann Dunham. Now, in the show, Hugo told us that there was a distinct possibility that Loretta Fuddy and Stanley Ann Dunham were the same person. And in fact, they were never pictured in the same place at the same time, even though they were both parts of the same groups, that Subud organization in Indonesia. But it looks to me like Stanley Ann Dunham grew up, got herself a perm, and started calling herself Loretta Fuddy. What do you guys think? I'm actually going to take these pictures, put them together in Photoshop, and see how much they match up with each other. Very, very interesting stuff. I definitely would like to hear what you guys think in the comments section below. All right, so what I've done is I have taken these photos. I have reduced the opacity of the Loretta Fuddy photo. I've tilted it a little bit so that their heads are at the exact same angle. And I have aligned it with her eyebrows and her nose. And just watch what happens here. Let me increase the opacity up from 60%. Let's go to 70. All right, so... okay, now you can see Loretta Fuddy's face a little bit more, but her eyes, her eyebrows, her nose, her lips, her cheeks, they all line up. Let's go up to 75%. A little bit more. Let's go a little bit more. Let's go up to 85. Okay, now you can really see Loretta Fuddy's face, but it lines up right directly. Let's go ahead and move it here. So you can see, as I bring it over, now, That nose. That nose, the eyes, the mouth. I believe this is the same woman, you guys. Just with several years in between. Very interesting. Oh, you can really see right there. There we go. Loretta Fuddy. Right over the face of Stanley Ann Dunham. And maybe I need to make her face just a little bit smaller. But even still, it is striking. You can see Loretta Fuddy's face so well. They look like the same person to me. Very, very interesting. If this was two different people, then the faces would not line up like this. It wouldn't happen. But very, very compelling. What do you guys think? All right, guys. First, this is huge news. Guess what? China has caved. They are announcing a willingness to seek a calm end to the trade war after their markets crash. Now, this is on Friday. Joe Hoff posted this report from his home in Hong Kong. President Trump yesterday announced that the U.S. will increase tariffs on China and then ordered all U.S. firms to begin seeking alternatives to doing business with China. The Chinese regime is in a perilous position and has only two choices. The regime can either give the U.S. what it wants or perish, because believe it or not, folks, they depend on the U.S. market for their ultra cheap and disposable goods. Now, President Trump recognizes that China is in an all-out war with the U.S. in regards to information and economics. For years, Western leaders have done nothing but negotiate into weak positions, never standing up to the communist regime. Former U.S. presidents treated China like they did Russia 50 years ago, as their superior, always giving them what they wanted and never standing up to their abuse and criminal acts. It's different with President Trump. The president knows he has the authority and ability to inflict a fatal blow to the Chinese economy. The U.S. is arguably in its best economic period in history, while China's economy is in its weakest in 30 years. The president knows that now is the time. China cannot handle the U.S. tariffs while their economy implodes. They are on the brink of a massive economic collapse, so colossal that the regime is in danger of being dethroned. The president retweeted the following post, bringing attention to his action to designate China as a currency manipulator, further challenging the regime. Right here, Monica Crowley says the U.S. Treasury designates China as a currency manipulator. Less than 24 hours ago, the president tweeted the following, noting he is putting more pressure on the regime with more tariffs in response to the regime's actions. He said, "For many years, China and many other countries have been taking advantage of the United States on trade, intellectual property theft, and much more. Our country has been losing hundreds of billions of dollars a year to China, with no end in sight. Sadly, past administrations have allowed China to get so far ahead of fair and balanced trade that it has become a great burden to the American taxpayer. As president, I can no longer allow this to happen. In the spirit of achieving fair trade, we must balance the very..." And then it continues on, but they don't continue it here. On Monday, after the Asian markets crashed and China announced a willingness to seek a calm end to the U.S. trade war, Fox News reported, China signaled on Monday it was now seeking a calm end in its ongoing trade war with the U.S. as Asian markets crumbled and China's currency plummeted to an 11-year low, following the latest tariffs on $550 billion in Chinese goods announced last Friday by the Trump administration. Trump said Monday that officials from China called U.S. officials and expressed interest in getting back to the table, the Wall Street Journal reported. He called the discussions a very positive development. They want to make a deal? That's a great thing, he said. No one else could have done this. President Trump saved the country again. Truly, he is the chosen one for our time. Now, that's a great little segue right there, because my last video, I believe on Wednesday, I called it Trump is the chosen one. Now, clearly, I was a play on words from the president's play on words and the joke that he said in front of the White House when he looked up to the sky and he said, "I am the chosen one." Now, he doesn't think that he's the Messiah. I don't think President Trump is the Messiah, but I will say this. I do think that Trump was anointed by God and sent to do the mission that he is completing right now, saving the country, taking us out of these dark times that we have found ourselves in from past administrations. President Trump is the chosen one. He is the chosen one for our time, the chosen one to lead us out of this dark century that we have been living in. President Trump was chosen to do a job, not only by God, but by the American people. We voted him into office. Therefore, he is chosen. Never once did I say that President Trump was the Messiah. I got a lot of people tweeting at me, a lot of people doing comments and sending me messages, telling me that I had lost it, that I was insane. But I never said he was the Messiah. Don't read into this, guys. Clearly, it was a joke. President Trump was not implying that he is Jesus Christ, and I never said that he was. I do believe, however, as I've maintained on many different occasions, President Trump was chosen, he was sent here, he is saving the country, and therefore, in my mind, he is the chosen one for this particular job. Thank you so much, President Trump. Now, all weekend, the different mainstream media, fake news outlets, they were reporting that President Trump has made this incredible mistake. He is going to a trade war with China, and he's going to destroy the U.S. economy, and everything's going to collapse, and oh, Chicken Little, the sky is falling. But look at this. Come Monday, China is willing to go ahead and get back to the table and start making a deal with us. When are they going to learn that this is how President Trump handles his business? President Trump plays hardball. If he doesn't get what he wants, he walks away. And then the other side is forced to come back and actually work with him. And you know what? They're going to get less than they wanted in the first place. And we are going to get more. President Trump is the master deal maker. He is the best deal maker in the history of our country. He gets things done. Certainly the best president. When are they going to learn, guys? When are they going to learn? They will never be able to disparage him. They will never be able to put him down in our minds. He is clearly saving the country. He is doing exactly the job that needs to be done. God bless President Trump. God bless America. Thank you so much for everything you have done for us, DJT. I really appreciate it, and I am so excited to be here witnessing this historic event. All right, next. Methods in a tweet says, "Eyes on. Looks like the Justice Department is close to deciding whether to indict Andrew McCabe, the former FBI deputy director and newly minted CNN analyst, on charges of lying to the FBI during a media leak investigation." And this is a nice little story from the Daily Caller, so let's go check it out. Oh yeah, report. Feds close to deciding whether to indict CNN analyst Andrew McCabe. Ooh, I can smell blood in the water, guys. The Justice Department is close to deciding whether to indict Andrew McCabe, the former FBI deputy director and newly minted CNN analyst, on charges of lying to the FBI during a media leak investigation. McCabe's attorneys met twice this last week with Deputy Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen regarding the investigation of McCabe, according to the New York Times. The 21-year FBI veteran was fired on March 16, 2018, after the Bureau's Office of Professional Responsibility and Justice Department Inspector General determined that he displayed a lack of candor at least 4 times in interviews about his authorization of leaks to the media in October of 2016. The Inspector General referred McCabe to the Justice Department for prosecution. The case is being handled by prosecutors in Washington, D.C., of course. McCabe sued the Justice Department and the FBI over his firing August 8th. McCabe claimed he did not lie to the FBI. He also claims he was fired due to political pressure from President Donald Trump. And then over the weekend, CNN hired him as a law enforcement analyst. Oh, let's see. A case against McCabe could face some headwinds, according to the Times report. A grand jury witness in the investigation has provided testimony that could undermine the government's case, according to the newspaper, but of course we know how much we can trust the New York Times. Trump and his conservative supporters have been heavily critical of McCabe, who had a leading role in the Trump-Russia investigation. In May 2017, after Trump fired James Comey as FBI director, McCabe authorized the FBI to investigate Trump for obstruction of justice. McCabe also opened an investigation into whether then Attorney General Jeff Sessions committed perjury about Russia contacts during his Senate confirmation hearings. The special counsel's report cleared Sessions of any wrongdoing. McCabe also arranged a January 24, 2017 interview between FBI agents and then National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Flynn pleaded guilty in the special counsel's investigation to lying to the agents regarding his conversations a month earlier with then Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak. Now, of course, we all remember what Andrew McCabe had to say. First we F Flynn, then we get Trump. Now, this is, in my eyes, an open and shut case. McCabe displayed a lack of candor. That means he lied to the FBI regarding the leaks that he let out of the FBI involving the investigations of what was going on at that time. McCabe didn't tell the truth. He was very, very, very willing to lie to the FBI, his colleagues at the Federal Bureau of Investigation. He was referred for prosecution to the DOJ. Now he has this lawsuit that he's trying to bring against the FBI and the DOJ for his firing, trying to pretend that he did nothing wrong. It was all just about political pressure from the president. Something tells me that the FBI and the DOJ are gonna go heavy on Andrew McCabe as a result of this. You cannot have this type of corruption at the top of an organization, the premier law enforcement agency in the world, the FBI. Andrew McCabe, his cohorts that were all involved in the Spygate coup, they destroyed the reputation of the FBI. And if the FBI and the DOJ does not go against him with the fullest extent of the law, then we can forget about the FBI or the DOJ ever regaining any of their credibility ever again. This is curtains for Andrew McCabe. I will eat my shoe live on a live stream, and you guys will watch me do it if I am wrong. I cannot foresee a future where Andrew McCabe does not pay for what he's done, and we all know his crimes are much, much graver than simply displaying a lack of candor. Oh, Joe Biden. Oh, why so serious? Once the clear favorite, he now plummets to third place in a national poll. God, can you guys blame the Democrats? I mean, look at that face. What a creep. Once the clear favorite and leading contender for the Democratic Party presidential candidate nomination, former Vice President Joe Biden's seemingly never-ending gaffes have led to him falling to third place in a national poll. Biden is now polling at 19% behind Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, who are both at 20% in the Monmouth University poll. Biden has suffered an across-the-board decline in his support since June. He lost ground with white Democrats from 32% to 18%, and voters of color from 33% to 19%, among voters without a college degree from 35% to 18%, and college graduates from 28% to 20%, with both men 38% to 24% and women 29% to 16%, and among voters under 50 years of age from 21% to 6%, as well as voters aged 50 and over from 42% to 33%. Most of Biden's lost support in these groups shifted almost equally towards Sanders and Warren, Monmouth found. Just incredible numbers there. Look at that. Dip, dip, dip. Now, in this national poll from Monmouth, let's see, Bernie Sanders is looking at 20%. He's up 6 points from June. Elizabeth Warren, 20%, up 5 points. Joe Biden, 19%, down 13 overall. Kamala Harris with 8, Booker with 4, Pete Buttigieg with 4, Andrew Yang with 3, Julian Castro with 2, Beto with 2, and what was that? Marianne Williamson with 2%. The main takeaway from this poll is that the Democrat race has become volatile. Liberal voters are starting to cast about for a candidate they can identify with. Moderate voters who've been paying less attention seem to be expressing doubts about Biden, but they are swinging more toward one of the left-leaning contenders with high name recognition rather than toward a lesser-known candidate who might be more in line with them politically. Now, that was from Patrick Murray, director of the independent Monmouth University Polling Institute. He added, "It's important to keep in mind that this is just one snapshot from one poll, but it does raise warning signs of increased churning in the Democratic nomination contest now that voters are starting to pay close attention. Biden has lost support from Democrats who call themselves moderate or conservative, from 40% to 22%, as well as those who consider themselves liberal, dropping from 24% to 15%. Fortunately for Biden, most of the lost support appears to be coming from states that vote later in the primary process, which kind of gives him a chance to regain momentum. Biden's drop in support is coming disproportionately from later states that have less impact on the process. But if this trend continues, it could spell trouble for him in the early states if it undermines his claim to being the most electable candidate. This could benefit someone like Kamala Harris, who remains competitive in the early states and can use a strong showing there to propel her into the top tier. Based on the current data, though, Warren looks like the candidate with the greatest momentum right now, said Murray. And I'll tell you what, guys, I will take Elizabeth Warren against President Trump any day. Liawatha, Pocahontas, oh, she is going to hear it if she gets on stage with President Trump. This is going to be a historic race in more ways than one, not only because President Trump is going to win for a second term and he's going to hand the Democrats their own butts in a cup, but because the people running against President Trump on the Democratic Party are so fractured. Now, it's no wonder that people who consider themselves moderate to conservative Democrats don't want to vote for Joe Biden, because he's pandering to the ultra-left-wing liberals and trying to make himself to be something other than a conservative or a moderate Democrat. But the ultra-left-wing liberals know that he is not truly an ultra-left-wing like them. He is only pandering to them. He is taking votes away from Warren and from Sanders right now, and that's why people are going to them instead of deciding that they're going to vote for Joe Biden. Now, Joe Biden is clearly on his last leg. Joe Biden, I feel bad for the guy. He is being paraded out there like like a rag doll with a dowel, and someone is just parading him around, making him dance and trying to make him say things that make sense, but he can't get anything out that does make any coherent sense. He said something about the former President Barry being assassinated over the weekend. He's had just a ton of gaffes, talking about meeting people when he was vice president, when that didn't happen, talking about things happening in certain years when they happened clearly at another time in history. And once again, I'm going to call back to this picture right here. Look at that face. Who is going to vote for this doll-haired, chiclet teeth-looking guy with the crazy eyes and the Joker smile? This face does not scream confidence. No one wants to elect someone who looks like this and who talks like the way he does. Joe Biden, please go home. Get a nap, have a hot toddy, snuggle into your bed with the dogs and Jill. That was the other thing. Jill Biden over the weekend was speaking at an event telling people that they should vote for her husband, and her reasoning for voting for her husband, she said that he didn't have the best policies, but that he was an okay guy. Like, that just did not instill confidence. Like, if my wife was out on the campaign trail, I would sure hope that she would say, not only are my policies really, really good, but I'm also a genuine and caring person who wants to help the country. She couldn't say any of that about Joe Biden. Joe Biden, because. Just vote Joe Biden, because he's not Trump. Incredible. I cannot wait till we get a little bit further into this 2020 election cycle, because it is only going to get worse for these Democrats. President Trump is just going to steamroll through to the end. The Trump train 2020 is coming, and there's nothing you Dems can do to stop it. Oh, here's another good one, guys. Trump slams a report claiming that he backed the use of nuclear bombs to battle hurricanes. Have you ever heard of anything so idiotic? The fake news media, they must think that we will believe anything. And I know that there is a huge contingent of the Democratic Party out there that probably believe this report. Cue the Twilight Zone music, and you can hear Rod Serling's voice say, "Imagine for a moment if a newspaper ran an outrageous story about Barry Obama with no name sources, and in the 12th paragraph inserted a quote from Barry saying the whole tale was made up." Can't imagine it? That's because it never happened, not even in the Twilight Zone. But the mainstream media does it all the time with President Trump, and once it's out there, it gets repeated as pure fact forevermore. Take the latest scoop from Axios, a liberal online publication run by a former Washington Post reporter. In the story headlined, "Scoop, Trump suggested nuking hurricanes to stop them from hitting the U.S." Trump is said to have wanted to use nuclear bombs to stop hurricanes from hitting the United States, according to sources who have heard the president's private remarks and been briefed on a National Security Council memorandum that recorded those comments. During one hurricane briefing at the White House, Trump said, I got it. Why don't we nuke them?" according to one source who was there. They start forming off the coast of Africa, and as they're moving across the Atlantic, we drop a bomb inside the eye of the hurricane, and it disrupts it. Why can't we do that? The source added, paraphrasing the president's remarks. Then Axios added this quote, again from the unnamed source. The briefer was knocked back on his heels, the source in the room added. You could hear a gnat fart in the meeting. People were astonished. After the meeting ended, we thought, what the F? What do we do with this? Now that's a quiet room if you can hear a gnat flatulate. Axios cites another source, unnamed of course, saying at another time, Trump asked about bombing hurricanes to break up their rotation, but didn't mention nukes that time. Way down in the 12th paragraph, the site wrote, Trump called this story ridiculous in a Monday tweet from the G7 summit. He added, I never said this, just more fake news. And here's exactly what he said. The story by Axios that President Trump wanted to blow up large hurricanes with nuclear weapons prior to reaching the shore is ridiculous, Trump tweeted from the Group of Seven summit in France. I never said this, just more fake news. In the article's final 5 paragraphs, the writers say the notion that detonating a nuclear bomb over the eye of a hurricane could be useful to counteract convection currents dates to the Eisenhower era when it was floated by a government scientist. They also note that detonating a nuclear bomb anywhere would be in violation of the terms of the Peaceful Nuclear Explosions Treaty between the U.S. and the former Soviet Union. And that is how you plant a fake news story. You don't need sources or documents, just claims from sources who have heard the president's private remarks and been briefed on a National Security Council memorandum that recorded those comments. By 10 a.m. Monday, if you Googled Trump nuclear hurricane, you got 21,500,000 results. So now it must be true. There you go, guys. A perfect dissection of how the fake news takes over the news cycle. One story planted like this, just completely insane, and all of the other liberal fake news media outlets pick it up. They say Trump wants to nuke hurricanes, and then everybody is blasting it everywhere, spreading fake propaganda. But President Trump never said it. President Trump is not a dumb man, okay? These people want to act like President Trump is some kind of mental midget, like he's got an IQ of a houseplant or something like that. But he went to an Ivy League school. He also went to West Point. President Trump is a master tactician. He knows exactly what he's doing. So over here, he does a head fake. He's got somebody paying attention to some, like, the whole Greenland thing. And then behind the scenes, he's doing something else, and he's actually solving problems. He is actually taking care of things as a president should, not serving his own interests and the interests of his friends on Wall Street or people that are business partners, like, say, Nancy Pelosi or Maxine Waters. Those people are the ones that you need to worry about. They're the people who have absolutely no brains to back up the job that they're doing. President Trump has cut his chops in the real world. President Trump knows how to make deals, he knows how to wine and dine these people, and he knows when to come in and when to back off. He knows when to hold them, he knows when to fold them. I have complete confidence in President Trump, and I have absolutely zero confidence in fake news Axios. Now, final story of the day, folks. This was a disgusting display by a man named Hassan Piker over the weekend. He is a host on the Young Turks, and until very recently, he had his own show on Twitch. Not that a whole ton of people watched it, but enough people on the left watched it so that Hassan was given a platform. YouTube actually sponsors these people, and he made a really, really disgusting comment. A couple of comments, actually. He said that America deserved the terrible events that took over 3,000 lives in September of 2001. The left continues to show their hatred for America every day. This time, Hassan Piker, a host for the far-left media company The Young Turks, said that America deserved that attack in September during an online stream. Piker also made fun of Republican congressman and former Navy SEAL and American hero Dan Crenshaw for losing his eye in Afghanistan. Piker is truly a sick and deranged individual, and you guys, you can watch this yourself. I'm not going to play it here because I don't think that it deserves our time, but I think that you need to know that this is the kind of stuff that the left says. Now, do I think that he deserved to be deplatformed for his disgusting display and his lack of respect for America, our first responders, and for the dead that we lost on that tragic day? No, I don't think that he deserved to be deplatformed. I think that we have free speech in America. I would say that Piker would definitely deplatform any one of us for saying something disparaging about people on his side. But this small-headed, tiny-brained little man with a completely backwards idea of what it means to be an American and what that really means to people like him, someone who came from another country. I believe that they are Turkish, and the climate in Turkey. If you were to say something about that, about the government in Turkey, what do you guys think they would do to you? I think that they would do a lot more than just take away your show on Twitch. We live in a free and democratic society, in a constitutional republic where people are granted the privilege and the right to be able to say the things that they want, however demeaning and disrespectful they might be. But this goes a step too far, and even Twitch thought that this was too much for this left-wing liberal woke bae, as he's called. But, you know, guys, I would say go ahead and watch it, because I couldn't believe that he had even said it. I just don't want to repeat it here again on my show. I think that he's disgusting. And I'm sure that he's going to come back in one form or another. I don't think he's going anywhere on Young Turks. He just doesn't have his own show anymore. But we live in a society where people should be able to speak their minds, because we have what's called freedom of speech. So I say give Hassan his show back again on Twitch, because that way people like us can examine the idiotic remarks that he makes and the disrespect that he has for America. And it gives us a better idea of what these people on the left really think about America and the people who live here. All right, guys, I think that is all that I've got for you today. I want to thank everyone for joining me. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.